Hi, Leanne.
How are you?
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can. I'm going to shut myself off until a few minutes before 7.
Good evening, Leanne.
How are you?
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Hi, Rob.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Get this light off. Light.
Good evening, Mr. Ferry.
Good evening, Mr. Angel. How are you today?
Well, I'm good, thank you. I'm looking at your snowman, and I assume that's your grandchild?
That is our grandson, Gabriel. He was adopted by Russell and Ben 2 years and 3 months ago as
Oh,
an infant.
What a great picture. Now, truth be told, how much work did you put in on that snowman?
I built that myself the when we had that big storm. He was coming the following week, right?
Yeah.
So in fear that we wouldn't have enough snow, I built that a week before he came. And I went out there like periodically and kept like packing it and molding it. And I got it to survive.
And your neighbors said, "Oh no, Mr. Ferry's saddle's about to slip. He's putting snowmen in his yard, the poor guy." That's a great picture.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hey, sir.
Right. So,
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
Hey, Hopkins. How you doing?
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Mayor,
evening.
Chris, you look sharp tonight.
Because I knew you were going to be here, Mayor.
Well, I just had another injection in my eye, so I'm just kind of chilling right about now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mr. Ferry.
Greetings. How are you?
Well, sir, thank you. Councilwoman Renzulli, how are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you.
Glad to hear it. I see Councilmember Riley. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Vice President. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for asking. You look very sharp tonight.
Thank you, as do you.
Thank you, sir. Miss Marino?
Hello there. Now we got sound.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Wait a couple more minutes for people to log in.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, niece.
Councilwoman,
Hi, Councilman. Ready?
how are you?
I'm good. I like your shirt.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You look very nice yourself. That's a very nice blazer. Powerful
Thank you.
blue. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Give another minute or two. I think we're missing a couple council members. And we'll get going. Councilmember Donegan, how are you?
Hanging in there. And yourself, Council President?
I'm okay. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Do we have a solicitor on the line?
Present, Council President.
Present? Okay. It is a minute past 7 o'clock, so I will call the January 25th Cranston City Council meeting to order. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Here.
Council Vice President Brady,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present. I'd like to welcome you all to our first full January council meeting. To the new members and those of us watching on Zoom or that called in and listening, if you have the docket in front of you, we're just going to follow the docket section by section. Try to limit our comments to 4 minutes each. Before we have discussion as council members, we'll obviously need a motion in a second before we go into discussion. Other than that, I'd just like to welcome you all to our first full council meeting. Moving on to the first agenda item, public acknowledgements and commendations. We do not have any items. Moving on to public hearings. This is limited to docketed matters. This does not include new business that's up for introduction or the advise and consent. This is just for docketed matters, resolutions, and ordinances. At this time, I'll open up the floor. If there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak on those items, now is the time. Madam Clerk, I'm using a new iPad today, so I'm going to need your help seeing if anybody is here that wants to come in and speak.
First one is Ayana Melvin.
Okay. You can let them in the room. Hello.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening.
Good evening.
How are you
Name it.
all?
We're doing well. Name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
All right, Ayana Melwan. I live 35 Sherwood Drive in Wesley, Rhode Island. I'm here on behalf of the Rhode Island After School Network, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to hear me out on the issue involving the resolution for our governor and our General Assembly to consider using the newly awarded stimulus dollars to the state of Rhode Island towards school learning programs here in our state. I want to thank Councilwoman Vargas for pushing this through and working with me on this because it's a crucial matter and it's definitely a timely matter and a big issue in terms of keeping our after-school programs and summer programs open here in the state of Rhode Island, including here in Cranston. Cranston, Rhode Island has multiple after-school and summer programs, including programs located at Hubie Bay Middle School, Gladstone Elementary School, located at the YMCA, and located at the library, Ocean State Kids Club, Global Science and Envirotech. These are programs here in Rhode Island that serve, here in Cranston that serve youth K through 12th grade, and amazing programs that are around science, technology, engineering, math, art, sports, activities for kids to do that keeps them out of trouble, and especially needed during COVID-19 for that social emotional learning piece, social emotional safe spaces. And as we've learned how crucial it is to promote healthy habits around mental health, especially as youth feel isolated during COVID-19. So during the pandemic here in Cranston, programs have provided food security for families. They've handed out PPE. They've been a resource for information around testing sites, around resources and information to help families as families feel more and more isolated from each other and from the rest of the world. They handed out over 300 kits during the weeks of summer, running around town, asking people to volunteer to keep engaging our youth here in Cranston in activities. All of that takes time, but all of that takes money. The programs are way underfunded here in the state. And the OSTL, which is the Out of School Time Learning Commission that was put together by Governor Raimondo under the guidance of Representative Julie Casimiro, came up with some recommendations in October 2019. And one of them was putting a state line item in the budget to support these programs and supplement the funding that they already get, including the programs here in Cranston. You know, we did a lot with that report. We put out legislation in the General Assembly, but then COVID hit right when our policy hit the floor in the Finance Committee. And unfortunately, it did not go through because the General Assembly was put on hold. It had champions, including Representative Joe McNamara. He fully supported the programs being funded in its own state line item budget, but because of the pause, that doesn't mean that the need went away. So we have 58,000 youth in Rhode Island waiting to get into after school and summer programs. We have programs all across the city of Cranston needing supplemental help beyond the grant funds that they've applied for, beyond the federal help that they get, just to keep their doors open. So I encourage all of you to vote and back up this resolution tonight, asking our governor and our General Assembly to consider the CARES Act, the new stimulus dollars that are coming in beyond the CARES Act dollars, and have those funds allocated out to after school and summer programs to keep their doors open as they continue to respond to the pandemic and help families in Cranston. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ayana. Appreciate it. Anybody else here to speak? Thank you.
Caitlin.
Okay, Caitlin, name and address for the record, please. Caitlin, can you hear us? Just need to unmute.
Okay, sorry, my internet was taking a long time.
You're all set. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Caitlin Blankenship, address 42 Lark Ave, Cranston, Rhode Island. I would also just like to comment on the resolution tonight in support of after-school program funding with the new stimulus coming in. I am a product of Cranston Public Schools and their after-school programs. I attended Gladstone and their 21st Century program there, as well as Bain. And I also went to East and Cranston West. There I discovered my love for after-school programs, and I haven't left the field since. I've been working in Cranston since I graduated in 2013. I recently became the statewide coordinator for STEM Advantage, which is a program that seeded out of Cranston. Cranston has been working collaboratively together for the past few years, focusing on expanding science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities for our youth in Cranston. Ayana touched on a lot of our efforts that happened through the beginning of the pandemic and over the summer, where we worked really hard together to deliver kits to all of our youth. Our programs now are still working collaboratively, but unfortunately, without additional funding, they're struggling to serve as many youth that need this social emotional time, especially right now during the pandemic. A lot of our families are looking for out of school time programs and summer programming. We just sent out a survey to families that was only out for a couple weeks, and we had over 400 responses of families just looking to give us feedback because they need a summer program. So stimulus funding like this would be crucial for our city to be able to serve our families this summer, as families are going back to work and they need somewhere for their child to be. So I hope that with this information, you all will vote yes, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else here from the public to speak on any docketed items? Madam Clerk, do you see anybody with their hand up?
See any others?
Okay. At this time, I will close public hearing. Moving on to resolutions. We have a resolution requesting the governor and the Rhode Island General Assembly allocate $8 million of the new stimulus money to after-school and summer programs sponsored by Councilwoman Vargas. At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have a second? Under discussion, Councilmember Vargas.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Council President, and thank you to Caitlin and Ayana for also speaking in support and on behalf of this resolution. Pretty much echoing what both Ayana and Caitlin have already, mentioned. This resolution is pretty much put forward to make sure that all of our youth, not only in the state, but specifically also here in Cranston, have access and opportunities and educational opportunities, right, for after school programs and summer programs as well. Now more than ever with COVID-19, we need to continue to make sure that we are able to provide as much support as possible that we can to our, whether it's organizations within our city that are providing these programmings to our youth, to our families. And I am highly encouraging that this, that the governor and the General Assembly without delay is able to either earmark or allocate at least $8 million in the stimulus funding sources towards after school and summer programs that are serving all of our kids here in a direct city. So it's extremely important. I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you from the council may have in terms of the school programming and after school programming as well. So I encourage my fellow council members to support the resolution, and as noted on there, submit a copy of the resolution to our governor and our legislators, and for that matter, even a congressional delegation, as well as an FYI noted on there as well. And I just want to thank Ayana as well on there, and Caitlin for once again calling in and providing us with a load of information as to why this is also important. So thank you again.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Moving on in discussion, any other members of the council like to speak on this resolution? Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. I just had a few questions for the sponsor, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you. I just wanted to know where is the figure of 8 million coming from? Why that amount?
Correct. So the figure of the $8 million in a sense has really come in from a recommendation that was actually a commission that was even put in from the governor. It's a commission called the Out of School Time Learning Commissioner, and is a report that they put in October of 2019, and they gave 3 recommendations. And one of them was to have a state line item in the budget for after school and summer programs for many of the programming, or for the youth that are on a waiting list as well. And so as a result, that's where the funding and the need for many organizations and surveys like, STEM programming, 21st century programs and so forth have come up from the membership of the After School Network. So that's how the $8 million came up from that report in October of 2019. Now, the dollars can be higher, right? But I'm using that report on that end. And as far as if you're asking, where did we get the 58,000 youth trying to get into programming, that came out of the American After 3 p.m. report, which is easily available on their website. For every one youth that I quoted on there, it also comes out of the American After 3 p.m. report as well, that is on there. And in terms of the 1,000 youth that is actually noted as well on this resolution, came pretty much from STEM mentoring program surveys that are done here in inner city, one Cranston summer surveys, 21st century programming as well. So that's kind of where that these figures are coming from.
Okay, and what is the total amount of the you said the new stimulus money that's coming through? And I apologize, I'm not up to date on that. How much is the state getting in that this 8 would come from?
Well, that's what we don't really know, the full amount of what's coming in one aspect. For one of them, we know that there's about 23.5 or so that's coming in into the state, right? Which is noted on the resolution, which is coming in through the Emergency Relief Fund and Child Care Fund. So that's where the 8 million, in a sense, if we were to request to get 8 million, it would most likely come from that 23.5. That's the Emergency Relief Fund that the government, or pretty much kind of like when if you recall the CARES Act, or those type of stimulus money, that's pretty much where this the name under the education section of the COVID-19 resource is really out of that emergency relief fund on there. There's also $180 million that it's also most likely coming out of the school districts from RIDE. So the governor's amount is fully unknown as to how much is coming in. But if you look at line 30, what was it? I think it's 37, yeah, through 41. It kind of mentions that we're asking from these funding sources to come in from the Governor Emergencies Education Relief Fund, or the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, which is ESSER2. That's part of that COVID money that's coming in, or 23.5 from the Child Care Fund. That's also most likely coming in as well, that we know of, at least until today. Things always happen. We can say that there's this dollar amount coming in today. You turn on the news tomorrow morning, it can be a totally different figure.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you. I really appreciate your answering my questions. Nothing further.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this resolution? Councilmember Brady.
Thank you. Echoing the statements that Councilmember Vargas said, I want to thank Guyana and Caitlin for coming on and speaking tonight and advocating not only for the youth of our community, but they've been very passionate in our history here in Cranston. I've had the opportunity to tour Hugh B. Bain with Ayana, and I also had the opportunity to speak to Councilmember Vargas at length about this resolution and the importance it is to our children of the Cranston community. Mental health is something that so many throughout our community continue to struggle with, but most importantly, our children of our community, as we continue to navigate now 11 months through this COVID pandemic. It's definitely not easy on the children. I can only imagine the life that they continue to live as I tour the schools and talk to teachers about trying to figure out ways to make proms and after school programs work and reopen as we slowly start to roll out this vaccine and reopen the economy. These are important conversations, and $8 million is I think it's money very well spent. We need to be able to make sure that these children have the appropriate environments after school to get into. Parents obviously need a break like anyone else. They've been working double, triple duty through this virus. So I will gladly be supporting this resolution tonight. I appreciate the time of the sponsor that she took on it. I would gladly ask to be a co-sponsor if she's willing. And, I urge the rest of the council to do the same. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Council Vice President. And through the Council President, if I may add one other component to the resolution if possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you. One of the things that after I submitted the resolution and I thought would be just to be add some additional wording if possible. And again, I'm fine if it goes the way it is, but I had some feedback where I was told that perhaps in line number 19 and 20, if you're looking at the resolution, where and at the end of line 19, it says families that work together to provide, and it moves on to line number 20, opportunity, social, emotional learning. I'd like to just add a motion if I can, to put in the words on their financial and educational opportunities. So it would read, whereas Rhode Island after school and summer programs are comprised of educational professionals, out of school time providers, youth, and their families that work together to provide financial and educational opportunities, social emotional learning, and safe spaces for thousands of Rhode Islanders, including over 1,000 youth here in Cranston, Rhode Island. So if everyone's okay, and I would like to have a second on that if possible, just to amend it so it can reflect that this is also educational, obviously opportunities, what we're talking about, but also financial opportunities in the sense that there's families that have a financial hardship, and some of these programs, do provide some sort of reasonable, pricing. Some of them are free for some of our families within our city. And so I just thought of putting that in there. No big deal if it doesn't go through, but I just thought that out of, to add some sort of language on that would be a little helpful.
Okay. So we have a motion on the resolution before us to add, was it that last part of the sentence, Councilmember Vargas?
Yeah, we're adding the words, just financial and educational opportunities. So right where it says opportunities, we're just adding together to provide financial and educational opportunities.
Okay, so
financial and education.
We have an amendment and a motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Mr. President, if I may.
Second.
Mr. President,
Solicitor Angel.
I would ask you to consider having the second withdrawn to the original motion, amend the motion that's been made to approve the resolution, to add the language, then take another second. It's
So
cleaner.
we're gonna withdraw the original
Second.
second.
If the person seconding will withdraw it.
Okay, I believe it was Councilmember Brady that seconded it.
I will withdraw my second from the original motion.
And then the person moving amends the motion to include the language spoken of by Councilwoman Vargas.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to amend the resolution. Do we need to say the motion again, Attorney Angel?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Vargas, can you say a motion one more time?
Sure. So the motion would be where after the word work together to provide, so after the word provide, add financial and educational. That's the three words that I'm adding to line 19 and 20.
And as part of your motion, Councilwoman, I assume it's to approve the resolution.
And it is correct, sir. Thank you, Solicitor, to approve the resolution. Yes.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve and amend. We have a second on that. Any other
Second.
discussion on the amended motion? On the amended resolution? Solicitor Angel, do we vote on the amendment first, or can we vote on them together because we remade the resolution?
Mr. President, what you've done is you've amended the resolution and taken a motion to approve all in one. It has been seconded. You are in line for a vote to approve.
Okay, so any other discussion on the resolution? Councilmember Rinzuli.
I just want to say that personally, my son was able to participate in the STEM summer program last summer, and he had a wonderful experience. It was really great for him to be able to get an educational opportunity in the summer, having been off from school, in person since March. And I think that it's, pretty obvious that kids have missed out a little bit this year because of COVID and not being able to be in school. And I hope that they can make up for some of that over the summer with programs like this. So I think it's a wonderful resolution, and I would like to be added as a co-sponsor, and I will be supporting it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other questions or comments on the resolution? There being none, I'll just like to say I will be in full support of this resolution. Having 2 children of my own, and summer camp was lacking last year. It's definitely something that's needed, and children are missing. So I will be supporting this resolution, and I as well would like to be added as a co-sponsor if it's okay with the sponsor.
Absolutely. I welcome anyone who'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, council member. Any other co-sponsors before I take the roll? There being none. Oh, Councilmember Jermaine?
Yes, I think I told Council Vargas that I would like to add myself as well in our meetings.
Okay, so you are
Thank
added
you.
as a co-sponsor. All right, there being no other discussion, clerk, please take the roll on the amended resolution.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, resolution passes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Moving on to report of committees. Finance Committee, Council Vice President, Edward J. Brady.
Thank you, Council President. First off, we have a resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatement. This passed unanimously in committee. I urge passage.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
second,
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Council Vice President, the floor is still yours.
We have a resolution authorizing tangible tax abatements. This passed also unanimously in committee. I urge passage here tonight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the resolution authorizing the tangible tax abatements. Are there any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes,
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
We have tax interest waiver approvals.
If I can interject,
Council Member Marino? I think your internet just froze. Let's give her a second and see if it comes back.
Wonder if she knows.
While we're waiting, I apologize. I wasn't in attendance last finance meeting due to dealing with illness. Was there any reason given for? I mean, that's quite a substantial change in valuation on that property over on Kennedy Drive? Is there?
Well, we just voted on it, so
Right, no,
It's
I know.
not- it's not before us right now. So I'm going to defer to the solicitor on that. I don't even know what property we're talking about.
The WJAR NBC 10 that we just on the tax abatement.
The tax abatement. So that just passed. Solicitor Angel, can we go back and discuss that or?
At the pleasure of the chair.
Okay. Councilmember Donna, you can certainly ask your question. This might be something we need to follow up at the next finance committee meeting.
Sure. Yeah.
The discussion was not brought up at the finance committee meeting, and I think that's probably what Councilmember Marino was going to ask, but I think she dropped off the call.
Yeah. All right. Director Moretti, do you have it, or I don't know if Director Strom is available here this evening, but is there any reason given from the? I mean, that's it's a $28,000 tax adjustment in what the tax would actually be. It's almost $1 million decrease in valuation, which is coming out to about a $28,000 less that we would receive in tax revenue. That's a sizable chunk of change.
Yeah, Councilman, I don't have the answer on that. I can get back to you. As you know, Director Strom is out. I could probably get an answer tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I would appreciate it. I would just caution everyone this evening. We are in tough economic times, and I think we really need to be careful about some of the evaluations that have come before us, particularly. Thank you, Director.
Councilmember Marino, welcome back. You froze on us. Did you have any questions or follow up on?
No, I don't know what came through. I had to recuse myself from the tax interest waiver approvals, so.
We did not get there yet, so you'll be
Okay.
recusing on the tax interest waiver approvals for the record.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councilmember Donegan, are you satisfied with your answer? Director Moretti will get back to you tomorrow on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, moving on. Councilmember Brady, the floor is yours.
Tax interest waiver approvals. This passed in committee unanimously. I urge passage tonight.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Under discussion on the tax interest waiver approvals, we do have one recusal. Councilmember Marino, any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes,
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Lastly, at this part of the meeting, we have tax interest waiver denials. This passed unanimously in committee. I urge passage tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the tax interest waiver denials?
I had a quick question, Council President.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you. What determines or who determines in general when a tax interest waive is getting denied? What do we ask from a person, and who in a sense gives the final? Obviously, we vote on it, but I'm just curious, how does it become from a denial versus an approval?
I will defer that to the administration or the finance department if there's anybody here from the finance department for that question.
Yeah, in fairness, we'd have to give a correct answer. We would need to speak with the director on that one. I will do my best to get an answer tomorrow in terms of the criteria, but I might need an extra day on that one.
Through the council president, if I'm okay to kind of
Yes,
reply back.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank
Continue.
you. Yeah, there's no problem. I don't need an answer, Director Moretti, on that tomorrow. So if, that might be a question that I'll just add if possible, or request one of my council colleagues to add to the next finance committee meeting to kind of explain that process, if possible on that end. I'm just kind of educating the public and kind of even myself on someone who did reach out asking, how is that determined? And I think it was a valid point. I'm here to learn. I learn every day, and there are things that I do know and things that I don't. And that's an area that I wanted to give a little bit more explanation. And I kind of felt I was a little bit on both sides, and then messing up myself and confusing myself and the person. So please, thank you.
Through the chair.
Budget Analyst DeMayo.
Yes, there is attached explanations on the interest application, the waivers and the denials. And there's a reason in the column. I mean, if you want to expound on that, we can ask the administration. But they do give a reason for each of them on the attachment.
Yeah, most cases are hardships, but I didn't want to just narrow the answer because there is a whole I know there is a whole host of reasons. So I'll do a better job of giving you a more complete answer. But fundamentally, there will be it's mostly hardships.
Thank you. And I am asking only because it does say hardship under reasons for approval, but then there's also that same very reason underneath denials. So it's more of what's the difference? Someone that put the reason hardship on and it got passed versus tax waivers that got denied for that same reason noted on there.
On the current one, the reasons for the denials was one was for a business, and the second one, the person was requesting multiple waivers in the past.
Okay. All right.
I think this might be something that we can put on the agenda for the next finance committee. And we can go over each and every one of these. I know, well, hopefully on the next finance committee, Director Strom will be back and there to answer questions for us.
Thank you.
Okay, did we take the roll on the tax interest waiver denials?
We did not, Council President.
Okay, the floor is, okay, so we have a motion and a second on this. Is there any other discussion on the tax interest waiver denials? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on, we had 01-21-01S. It's an ordinance transferring appropriations and amending the budget for fiscal year commencing July 1, 2020 and ending July 30th, 2021. Administration position changes, general fund, sponsored by myself. This passed in committee 5-1, and I urge passage here tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any discussion on 01-21-01S? Councilmember Marino.
Yes, just for the record, as we discussed in finance, I would have liked to have seen a savings with respect to the current budget change as opposed to a wash. I think there were opportunities with different positions not being available, and I think that the administration could have availed themselves of those opportunities rather than giving substantial increases and creating new positions right out the gate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marino. Any other discussion?
Mr. Council President.
Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you. I'm just going to echo my colleague, Councilwoman Moreno. I have concerns about the fact that it's obviously a new administration with new members of that administration coming in, and while I'm not against entertaining the potential for raises, I suppose I would have preferred to see that taken up in the budget once we kind of have a chance to review the overall performance after about 4 or 5 months of the new administrative positions. So I'm going to be voting against this this evening. It's not a reflection of my how I feel or my what I perceive as the abilities of the people that are going to be coming into these roles. I just would have preferred to see this done in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Any other discussion?
Council President?
Councilmember
Right.
Vargas.
Thank you. I'll also echo what Councilwoman Marino and Councilmember Donegan also mentioned. I really felt that, I understand why it's not increasing. This could have been an opportunity to, again, also echoing what my council colleagues have said, it's nothing directly at all at any of the incoming potential directors into that position, but I really think that we could have evaluated or done maybe a step-by-step on there where we could have had the first 6 months, can set up this amount and then eventually performance-based or so can go on the second. Obviously, I know it's still an appointment and of the mayor along those lines, but I really wish that they would have been, we could have started out where we, a little less than where we are today. So for that reason is why I'm voting against it, but that definitely nothing directed at any of the members that are going to be coming before us this evening. Thank you. Or the new
Thank you.
ones, by the way.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Jermaine.
I would like to echo my colleagues. I have a personal concern. I don't see the equity lens in those raises, and I don't see a woman there as well. So that's why I will vote against it. So I wish I could see 2 or 3 women's, and also in the equity lens, I don't see the equity and equality on those raises as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. We had some great discussion on these topics during committee. I certainly understand the reservations of my colleagues that are going to be, it looks like, voting against this tonight. As a small business owner, try to navigate through COVID, I don't think there's one business that I own, unfortunately, that my labor cost is down at. One thing that I've come to realize is a lot of people, as we saw tonight, through our finance director and many people that are affected in the mayor's office, are going down due to this virus. So, me seeing not a net change of anything in this budget and it being a net zero, I'm putting trust in our administration and the team of the transition team that they put together and putting faith in the administration moving forward on these picks. I certainly think it's important as we enter a year into a finance budget as a few months ahead, and we see numbers like $500 million as potential deficits for our state and $120,000 plus here at our state annual audit here in the city of Cranston, that we continue to look for savings. So I certainly understand the points of my colleagues, but I will be putting my faith in the new administration tonight, like many of the past administrations of the past, and I will be voting for this.
Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. Any other discussion?
Council President.
Councilmember Donegan.
If I guess this is to the administration, the confidential assistant to the finance director position is being zeroed out. Who, in the in the current circumstances where the finance director is out, and please again, Director Strom, I hope you're resting up well, and we wish you back to good health, speedy and as soon as possible. But who would step up if members of the council have questions? If there is a finance committee, obviously I know you're very qualified to kind of slide in there, but I don't think that's a permanent resolution.
Director Moretti.
I didn't quite hear the entire question. I think I'll play it back to see if I heard the question. There's the confidential assistant to the finance position has been eliminated, and I'm not quite sure. Was it if someone has a question, who do they refer to? That's why I didn't hear.
If Bob Strom is out for a period of time, who is going to be there to answer questions for the council or fill in for his spot? I think that's the gist of it. Is that correct, Councilmember Donegan?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, that would, the go-to person will be Controller Igo.
Okay.
Yeah, he's He's had many years of experience with the city and certainly could fill in very handily. Just to mention, that position is a position that Mr. Strom thought was unnecessary in his department. It was not a professional position, not even a clerical position. Those were back in the day when I think they had their confidential secretary, or there used to be an old-fashioned term called assistant now. So per the recommendation of Director Strom, we eliminated that position.
Director, how many years has Director Strong thought that position was unnecessary, and why was it kept in the budget?
I don't know how many years. I believe that position, if I recall, it may have been open for sure. I don't have the history. I've been with the city for 2 weeks, so I can't really give you a good answer on that.
No, that's understandable, and I don't expect anyone to have all the answers.
But we trusted Director Strom in his judgment.
Okay.
May I also point one more thing out? In listening to Councilwoman Marino to try to save some money with the city, Mayor Hopkins decided to delay filling the deputy director position and deferring it to the budget time, as Councilman Dunnigan said. So we are, though these numbers don't show it, Mayor Hopkins is going to be reflecting a reduction in spending, probably to the tune of, depends how you define benefits, but probably to the tune of maybe about $40,000. So yes, we listened, the mayor listened to the recommendations, and he followed through with that to help satisfy some of the concerns of the council.
Thank you, Director Moretti. Council Member Ferry, I see your hand up.
Yes, it's obvious that the administration has felt that they needed to make some changes to put the team in place that they felt was going to be able to help run the city to the best of its ability. And I feel that I will support this because I think we need to give the administration the chance to do this in hopes that 6 months down the road, we're not faced with the possibility of being asked for more money to either fill some of those vacant positions or give other increases. So I just wanted to get that on the record. But I do approve it as it stands, and hopefully we will not be looking at an increase 6 months down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader Ferry. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I also strongly agree with Council Member Ferry that I hope we're not looking at any increases. I don't think from the time that was spent in me speaking to the administration and doing my homework on some of these changes and asking questions, I applaud the administration that they gave us a net neutral budget, that we can sit here, and it's very easy for us to sit here at this point in time and, take shots and say, you should have done this and you should have done that. But for them to come back with the pot of money that we've allotted for them and to make the changes that they needed and to come with a net neutral budget, I think is very important. And it's a testament to their fiscal conservatism and to really want to do what's best for the taxpayers of the city. They've met with all the department heads, from my understanding, and they've made cuts where they needed to make cuts, and they have increased salaries, but we need to get the best people in these positions. And it's really hard to bring people from the private sector into government work because we just can't pay the same wages. And some of these positions were woefully underfunded. And if we're going to get the best of the best to run these departments and bring them back to the stature that they once were, especially the senior center, it was a national, it was looked at nationally at one point in time. And now we have somebody with strict organizational management experience to come in and run that like the business that it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this administration can do. And if there's anything that we can do as a council to help them, I think we all need to do that and look at this as we're on one team, not two teams, and we need to move forward together as one city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. Any other discussion? Councilmember Rinzuli.
I echo the sentiment that this is excellent. I think that it's a net neutral budget. Obviously, we always want to save money, but we do need to get the best people in the positions. I too have the same concerns as Councilwoman Germain. I know we are not seeing any women here on this list. However, I did my homework, and there are women who were hired in the solicitor's office. There is the director of constituent affairs. You won't find her here. There are some part-time positions that have moved around, and those are all women. And, you know, for some women right now during COVID, that's important so that they can be available, you know, for children. So while it might not be a director position, and I hope in the future this administration will consider filling positions with more women, I think, you know, that this is a move in the right direction. It has diversified from what it was in the past, and we are not spending any more money. So I definitely will be supporting passing this. But I will say that we need to be a check and balance for this administration, and we should continue to reevaluate, and going forward in the budget season, which is only a few months away, we can make changes as needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion? There being, Councilmember Jermaine.
Yes, I would like to add for the future. So I would like to see women in the high level position as well. So for me, we start to make the change. We have one woman, but I don't think there is one woman who has the same high, you know, rates like this. So if we have only one woman, that will make a big difference in the high position director. So I hope that we take note, all of us, in the next time we have a woman in the high level position.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
No.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
No.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
No,
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. Councilmember Brady, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. 01-21-02S, ordinance transferring appropriations and amending the budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2020, ending in July 30th, 2021. Administration position changes, non-general fund, sponsored by myself. This passed in committee 5-1. I urge passage here tonight.
I would like
Thank
to
you,
make a
Council.
motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion and we have a second. Under discussion? There being none,
Council President.
Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you. Through the council president to the director, the C under department CDBG, it says under current the salary is 0, and the amended would be 72,831. Where is that 72,831 coming from?
That position is federally funded. It'll have a zero impact on the city funding. It's a fully reimbursed position. At the finance committee meeting, it was brought up that typically the annual grant has been approximately $1 million or so. This year was exceptional. There's an additional grant having to do with COVID to more than double the size of the funding by an additional amount of approximately $1.1 million. So basically, we're kind of doubling the effort in that department to handle the proper disbursement of these funds to the community. The people in the department expressed to us that they were very short-handed, that they were kind of overworked, overloaded. Hearing those two things, we certainly didn't want the funds to be moot. And we heard them, we listened to them, we wanted to draw attention to it. So the mayor decided to hire, proposing to hire a director there as an incremental headcount, but it's purely funded by the federal government. With those grants, 20% of those funds are allowed to be spent in administrative overhead positions. And this incremental amount, probably, if you look at what it does in the budget, maybe about $47,000. Is extra spending, if you want to call it that, was well under the 20% of the incremental $1.1 million. So we definitely felt it was an extreme comfort zone to do this and to make sure that we're spending on the money for the low to moderate income community in Cranston.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions or comments? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
No.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
No.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
No.
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, Councilmember Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Next, we will move on to the advice and consent hearing on the mayor's appointments. We have many individual candidates that we will take one by one. I'd like to report that the administration request for advice and consent was recommended that the full council do the same. Each of these passed in committee. I will take them one by one. The first candidate is Chris Millay as our city solicitor.
I would like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Chris Malaya as city solicitor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the advice and consent of Christopher Millay. Any discussion?
Council
Yeah.
President, I have a comment, please.
Councilmember Vargas.
Yes, thank you. This is a comment I was actually going to express at the Finance Committee meeting, and I failed to do so. I'd be remiss if I didn't do that this evening. I am in support of this, obviously, this nomination. I met Chris Millay a few years ago when he first ran for state office as a state rep, and I walked with him. I knocked on doors. I know of his qualification and hear a lot of great things about his work ethics. And I would hope that he continues that, obviously, within the city. So I just wanted to express my support, and I will be voting for his confirmation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Any other discussion? Councilmember Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Echoing what Councilmember Vargas said, I've gotten the opportunity to know Mr. Millay over the last year or two, especially as he served as a rep. Definitely was very responsive to me as a council person as I contacted him with questions regardless of my political affiliation. He was always prompt in his reply. He was efficient. He got it done every time I asked him. I think it's a very confident pick by the administration here tonight. I've also watched him, basically really change some people's lives. So I just, I really appreciate this tonight, and I will also be in support.
Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll on the advise and consent.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on, I'd like to report that in committee, we approved the administration request for advice and consent and I'd like to recommend here tonight at the full council to do the same on Daniel Perillo as our Director of Personnel.
I move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Daniel Perillo as Director of Personnel.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? There, Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Just to be brief, Director Perillo came in towards the later part of my last council term, and echoing what I said about the previous candidate, he has always been beyond responsive. I think we are very lucky here in the city of Cranston to have his service, to add him again to our administration team. I can't remember a time where I didn't reach out to him and he helped me navigate through fixing an issue or a problem. Our constituents were very happy due to his service and help navigating through those issues. So I urge passes tonight, and I will definitely be in support of this.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other discussion? There being none, I'll just close by saying, Director Pearl has always done a great job in any capacity he has served with us here in the city as personnel director years ago, up to DOA, and now back to personnel director. I echo Council Vice President's statements. We're lucky to have him. He's a hard worker. He's squared away. He follows through on everything that you follow up with him on, and he follows up on it. So look forward to voting yes on his advice and consent. That being said, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on, I'd like to report that the committee approved the administration request for the advice and consent and recommended to the full council here tonight to do the same on Raymond Tiseglia as Director of Parks and Recreation.
I move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Raymond Tiseglia as Director of Parks and Recreation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Under discussion for advice and consent. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes. Sorry about that.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on to our next candidate, I'd like to report that the committee approved the administration request for the advice and consent and recommend here tonight at the full council to do the same on Franklin Paulino as our Director of Economic Development.
I'd like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Franklin Paulino as Director of Economic Development.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Under discussion,
Council President.
Council Minority Leader Donegan, and then I'll go to Council Member Marino.
Thank you. Or I'll defer to, sorry, Councilwoman Marino. I can defer to her.
Council Member Marino.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to state, we had a good discussion, I think, at the Finance Committee level. And, I do understand that these are the mayor's appointments and we're just here for advice and consent. I don't want to rehash a lot of what we discussed there, but I did want to mention that, I do have concerns that, Mr. Paulino has not lived in the state of Rhode Island since 2005. As I stated, now more than ever, with the tough economic times and the unpredictable future ahead of us, I would have liked to have seen someone that had ties to Rhode Island, never mind Cranston. And, again, at the end of the day, it's the mayor's decision. And I am hopeful that my concerns will be wrong. And, I don't want to be disagreeable for the sake of being disagreeable. And so I want to make that abundantly clear. His success is our success, and I'm rooting for him to do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marino. Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you. Yeah, and similarly, I am going to be voting yes on Mr. Polino this evening. I do feel that, barring extreme circumstances, the mayor should have the people that they want around them. And so, again, I'm going to be supporting this nomination this evening. I would be remiss if I didn't, voice that I am slightly disappointed, given the significant challenges of the times that we're facing, that we're not getting someone in that position that has more experience in economic development, let alone the ties to the state or the city. But I hope Mr. Polino succeeds in this role. I know that he's taking on more than just being the economic development director. It seems like there's also going to be a lot of DEI work that he's going to be taking on. I think it is great to see that we're getting a person of color that can represent for our city, and I wish him nothing but success.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to echo my colleagues and my fellow council members that we certainly had a very good conversation on this during committee. And, I know I can't go into details of the resumes of any of the candidates during this portion of the meeting, but, I can only speak on my brief experience with Mr. Polino over the last few months and getting the opportunity to know him. I know as I go out on our, visiting 90 businesses in 90 days, people are deflated, people are struggling. I mean, I would be remiss to disagree with my fellow council people and say that this is one of the most important positions we have in the city of Cranston. And, that being said, I think one of the greatest assets Mr. Polino showcased to me through those few months that I've had the opportunity to meet him is he's a people person, and he's a positive energy man with a cape. I mean, I can't remember the last time this gentleman wasn't smiling, wasn't uplifting a room. And that persona, that personality, that positive energy is needed in the world today. And I am going to do, just like my fellow colleagues have said, all in my power to uplift this position, to help, as we speak later on tonight, build a committee specifically around it, because Councilman Donegan during our last term certainly recommended that, and I agreed with him that we can continue to uplift and bring more economic development into the city of Cranston by working together, by being more involved as a council. If he fails, we fail. As Ms. Councilmember Marino said earlier in the night, we are putting faith in the administration. These are the administration picks. I have faith in Mr. Polino, but we can certainly revisit it down the line if any of these candidates are not executing the job duties that they are responsible for. So I appreciate the reservations, but I will be in full support of Mr. Polino tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilmember Jermaine.
At the last meeting, I raised my concern, but I am fearful that as Council Vice President Brady and Council President Papowska state, that the support will be there for him. And in this time, he needs it more than ever. And as I mentioned, my fear is, as a people of color, oftentimes people get into a position, even though, the intention is there, but the support, when they get into the job, the environment, are not conducive to thrive. So my hope is for Mr. Paulino to thrive, and I have faith in you that you will provide all the support he needs, all in the environment, and he thrive to our city and make our businesses. And as you all mentioned, his success will be the success of Cranston as a whole. It will be the success for all of us. So I wish him good luck, and I will be available if you need any advice, support. I am not in any, but another level, so I can support him in my capacity as well. So I will be supporting him.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. I as I echoed, I'm just pretty much going to echo what kind of summarize what I said at the Finance Committee meeting. It's again, we're going through some tough times. We'll most likely be continuing to go through some tough times here within our city. Do I feel that the resume that has been presented before me has a strong background, Mr. Paulino, as far as economic development? I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't think he does. Do I think that we can all work with him to make sure that he succeeds and is not set up for failure? Absolutely, I really do. As I mentioned prior at the Finance Committee meeting, economic developers, or in this role, there really should be, they're there to help us with any city policies, with pretty much how tax incentives and so forth are being done. They're about, bringing in new businesses into our city. They're about supporting the current economic strength that we have in our city, and our current small businesses are as well, and any business that we have for that fact here in our city. So I like I said at last week's meeting, it's going to be very important for me to work with each and every director that's on here. I don't think it's the time for us to be, going to different directions. I think our city continues to need economic growth. Looking at, his skill sets and the experience that he has, I'm hoping that based on even any other experience not noted on this resume, that he is able to work with each and every one of us, but mainly the city, to move the city forward in the right directions, and that he is also provided the tools needed to succeed in this job and not set up for failure. There's too many times that so many people or so many organizations, whether it's corporations, nonprofits, or so forth, will sometimes put a person of color there. And when they put the person of color, it's not to check the box off, but they fail to provide the necessary tools needed to get the work done, and the resources and the professional development needed with this job. And so in general, if we fail to do that, not only as council members, but as a city, and I'm sure Mayor Hopkins is not going to be putting Mr. Paulino there, who's a personal friend of his, on there as well, and set up for failure, because that doesn't look good on his end. But in general, I know that he believes that this gentleman can do it. I don't know Mr. Paulino at all. I look forward to meeting with him. I look forward to talking about areas of growth within our city, but areas where he perhaps is able to help out businesses within my ward, and that I too am able to provide information and resources that I delivered and share it with him, so that we can continue to work together with the Economic Development Director to strengthen the businesses that are already here and continue to strengthen our city as we move forward. So I'll be voting in favor of Mr. Paulino's nomination to serve as, or advising consent as the Director of Economic Development. And I'm accessible, and I look forward to meeting you at some point down the line in person, if not through any other virtual platforms. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Renzulli.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo what Councilman Brady said. I do know Mr. Paulino, maybe a little bit more than some of the people on the council. I did get to spend some time with him this summer as we campaigned. And I just want to say that we are all more than our resume. My resume, I'm a track coach. Councilwoman Marino is an attorney. We bring different things to the table here. We both have different skill sets, and we're both going to work together to make the city of Cranston better. Mr. Paulino has a good marketing background. He plans to use a grassroots approach and go business to business, visit every business in the city. He is bilingual. He is a person of color and is diversifying this administration, which we are always talking about trying to do, and we need to continue to do more. But I think that, as we say, we need to set him up for success. I think that should be a given, and we need to set all of these appointments up for success, and we all need to be available and accessible and hold the administration accountable to do that. But I look forward to seeing Mr. Paulino do a wonderful job, and all of us support him going forward, as well as all these appointments, because I can tell you that he's going to do a great job, and you'll all be so happy that you put him forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Renzulli. Any other discussion on Mr. Paulino? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on to the next candidate, I'd like to report that the committee approved the administration request for advice and consent. And I recommend the full council do the same tonight for Stephen Craddock as Director of Senior Services.
I move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Stephen Craddock as Director of Senior Services.
Second.
Motion, we have a motion and we have a second by Councilmember Riley. Any discussion on the advice and consent of Stephen Craddock? There being none.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Donegan and then Councilmember Marino.
Thank you. Again, I wasn't in attendance at the Finance Committee meeting last week due to illness. And similar to my previous comments, I will be supporting the nomination this evening for the same reasons. But again, I have concerns. Mr. Craddock has a very qualifying resume for a lot of things, and certainly has a ton of business experience. But we're talking about the Director of Senior Services, and it doesn't appear that he has any background in senior services, which is particularly concerning, again, given the current public health crisis that we face nationally and more globally, and certainly locally. But again, I'm going to vote yes and give Mr. Craddock a shot. I wish him nothing but the best, and continued great work that goes on at the Senior Center.
Thank you. Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President Paplaskas. Similar to what I stated just a few minutes ago with respect to Mr. Paulino's nomination for a position with respect to Mr. Craddock, we discussed it respectfully at the Finance Committee level. And while looking at his background, I'm disappointed to see that he doesn't have any direct experience with seniors. They're such a vital part of our population. Again, given the current times, it's essential. And he doesn't have any actual experience with seniors or the partners of the senior center. So it gives me pause and concern. But again, his success is our success. I wish him luck. He's the choice. And I respect that. And one last piece, I would also like to thank him for his service in the military as well. And best of luck to him and to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Marino. Any other comments? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Moving on to our next candidate, I would like to report that the committee approved the administration requests for the advise and consent, and I recommend here tonight the full council to do the same on Timothy Sanzi as Director of Community Development.
I'd like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Timothy Sanzi as Director of Community Development.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds. Under discussion. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
I'd like to move on to the next candidate, Robert Strom for Director of Finance, and report that the committee approved the administration request for advice and consent, and I recommend we do the same here at the full council.
I'd like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Robert Strom as Director of Finance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, I'll just say if in case Mr. Strom is listening or somebody can pass it on, that we just wish him well. And we look forward to his speedy recovery and return to the city. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
I'd like to report the committee approved the administration request for the advice and consent, and I recommend the full council to do the same here tonight for Kenneth Mason as Director of Public Works.
I'd like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of Kenneth Mason as Director of Public Works.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Under discussion. Any questions or comments? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes. Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay,
We have one additional candidate, David Rodeo as a building official. This was, I would like to report in committee this approved by the administration request for advice and consent, and I recommend the full council to do the same here tonight.
I'd like to move to accept the report of the full committee and that the council provide the advice and consent of the appointment of David Rodeo as building official.
Second.
we have a motion and a second for David Rodeo. Under discussion, any questions or comments? Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President. Again, as discussed at the committee level, while I understand that Mr. Rodeo has been in the position for a couple of years, I was glad to hear that he's open to the notion of improvements within that department, even with whatever staff shortcomings there are in terms of the number of staff. There still need to be improvements in that department. I look forward to working with him to, to the betterment of that department to service our citizens. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Ferry.
Yes, I'd also like to say that based on the discussion that we had, I'm hoping that the administration is going to see to it that a lot of the complaints we received while we were campaigning would be looked into and corrected. And I know that you said there are personnel problems, but it was one of the biggest issues that came across when I was personally campaigning. So let's hope that even though I'm supporting this, I wish that we could just make sure that we are looking into improving that department.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions or comments?
Yes,
Councilmember,
Council President.
Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. Yes, I too look forward to working alongside as well with Mr. Rodeo. You know, this department has their hands full, definitely now more than ever, particularly with COVID and many people taking out permits and so building permits, and whether it's for their own, you know, personal property or businesses for that matter. But I do look forward to working with Mr. Frodio, and I hope that you know, and I'm happy he has an open mind about it, because I really find that we should be looking at best practices in areas to improve within that department. So I'm glad that he's very open to it. I know our mayor has had conversations with all of us in the sense of council meetings that we've had prior to this on why that department is either behind, or what can we do to make sure that it's more efficient, and what can we do to make sure that people are not waiting for quite some time. And it's not all at the fault of the director, but the fact that he has an open mind and he wants to make sure that we continue to, again, move the city forward and do the best that we can with the numerous amounts of calls or emails that he is getting, whether it's from our office or from our constituency directly, is extremely important. So again, here to help out in as much as I can and make sure that we can continue to do or be able to have the best practices we can within that department. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Council Vice President Brady.
You know, I just want to echo the statements of my fellow colleagues. I certainly think that this is a department that we can continue to uplift and improve. We definitely need some more additional help. There's many residential concerns that come to this department. It was discussed in committee that it's kind of a, you know, you're going to please 50%, but not please the other 50%. Well, there's a way you can do that going about it. And, you know, you can always do that by showing kindness and listening and working through the process. So I'm here to continue to uplift that department. I would like to see continued improvement, not only of this department, but of our entire administration as we continue to transition through to a new team and process in the middle of COVID. So just want to echo my fellow colleagues, and I appreciate their conversation, and not only committee, but here tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions or comments? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the work of the Finance Committee. I'd just like to thank Chair of the Finance Committee, Council Vice President Brady, for all the hard work he put into this. In the 6 years I've been on the council, this is going to be the longest Finance Committee agenda item ever forwarded to the full council. So I just want to commend you and all the members of the committee. Great work.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Go
ahead. All right, let me find my place on the docket. There we go. Okay, moving on to the Ordinance Committee. We have one agenda item, and I will turn the meeting over to Chair Matthew Riley.
Thank you, Council President. So before the Ordinance Committee, we had Ordinance 11-20-01, Ordinance in Amendment of Title 10.32 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Scoralia and Fox Ridge Drive, four-way stop, sponsored by Councilmember Brady. I'm happy to report this passed the Ordinance Committee. It was approved, and we're recommending it to the full council here tonight.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion on 11-20-01? Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. Just to be brief, we did discuss in committee moving forward a better way of notifying residents on stop sign conversations. So it's certainly something that I would look forward to working with my colleagues here on a way to make sure that we're notifying our residents through mail, in addition to using the Cranston Herald, so that we're kind of just a little bit more efficient in the process moving forward. So that's some legislation that I look forward to drafting up with some of my colleagues. But I urge passage here tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions or comments on the stop sign ordinance before us? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to public hearing. This is for anybody on the call that'd like to speak on any matters that they would like to speak on. And also this is for written public comment to be read into the record, must be submitted via email. This is kind of odd the way we write this, so I'm gonna ask that Attorney Angel take a look at this, and this might be able to clean up this section a little bit. But is this time, does anybody here from the public to speak on any matters? It's now open. Just raise your hand. Madam Clerk, do you see anybody?
No.
Okay, I will, going once, going twice, close public hearings. Moving on to election of city officials, Juvenile Hearing Board, reappointment of Christian Heroyan. To my understanding, this appointment has been withdrawn. Moving on to Board of Contract and Purchase. No vote is needed on this. This is 2 minority appointments, 2 majority appointments, and council president appointment. First, we have Robert Centuri Jr., minority appointment sponsored by Councilman Donegan. We have the appointment of Doris Blanchard, minority appointment sponsored by Councilwoman Vargas. We have an appointment of Donald J. Roach, council president appointment. Anthony Mastantuano, majority appointment, Councilman Ferry. And Daniel Dos Santos, majority appointment, Council Majority Leader Ferry. These are Board of Contract and Purchase appointments, and I certainly want to thank all of the members that have stepped up to serve on this board. They do meet a couple of times a month, and the city certainly appreciates you giving your time to that. Any questions or comments on the Board of Contract and Purchase? There being none, I will move on to City Council Grant Writer, the appointment of Lisa Andoja. I'll entertain a motion at this time. And if Lisa Andoja is in the waiting room, Madam Clerk, can you please bring her in?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Is Miss Andoja here?
I believe I let her in.
This is Ellen.
I see her. There she is.
Hello,
Hello,
can you,
Miss Andoja, name and address for the record, please.
Lisa Andoja, 1 Rosewood Drive, North Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay, welcome to the Cranston City Council. You are here for appointment of City Council Grant Writer. Everybody on the council should have received a resume and some information about Miss Andoja, and now would be the time if there's any discussion or questions to ask away. Or actually, Miss Andoja, would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself to everybody on the council?
Thank you. My name is Lisa Andoja. About 18 and a half years ago, I founded Rosewood Communications, and it is a government affairs and grant writing firm. I actually do work for municipalities. I also do grant writing for nonprofits.
Okay, thank you very much. Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. When we had the opportunity to interview candidates for this position, and actually Council Member Renzulli had introduced this candidate to me to reach out to, I have had the opportunity to spend countless hours having conversations, learning. Her experience is, I think we are very lucky here in the city of Cranston to acquire her in this position. She's raised millions of dollars for surrounding communities. She's made quite a reputation for herself, as I call different communities in reference. And, I truly look forward to seeing what we can do with her in this role to uplift the city of Cranston. So, I certainly urge passage tonight. Like I said, I think we're very lucky to have the opportunity to have a candidate of this quality in front of us and her team behind us. So, you know, I look forward to potentially working with her pending tonight goes well.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Councilmember Rizuli?
I echo everything that Ed Councilman Brady just said. But also, as we have discussed tonight, the importance of saving money and, you know, how the budget and the needs of the city. Grant money is out there. It's free money for the taking. And Lisa Andoja knows how to get it. She's proved it time and time again in other cities. And she is, other towns have a huge advantage over us by having her. So I am so excited that she is willing to come and help Cranston because I think that she's worth her weight in gold. And I hope that everyone will support her tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Rizuli. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Vargas.
I have a comment. Thank you. I'm sorry. So it's not a question for Lisa, but I do want to say, Lisa, I'm hearing you're the woman behind all the money according to the Valley Breeze. So, you know, if this moves forward, I'm looking forward to working with you and hoping that it is not a conflict of interest when all the cities and towns that you work for are going after the same money. But, you know, there's definitely a lot of, we're going to utilize you should this move forward, right? Let me just put it that way. And I look forward to, you know, working with you if this goes through. I did have a question, if possible, through the administration on here. I believe, is Lisa starting at that $30,000 salary, or is it going to be increased?
That is a council matter. It's not an administrative matter. She's an appointee of the council, so it would have to be within your own budgetary constraints.
I
Correct.
can answer
Director
that.
Strom is not here. I was just wondering, I didn't know who to refer that to. But yes, Council President, if you don't mind.
Sure. Ms. Andoja and her firm, her rate is a little bit higher than the prior rate that we were paying. Lisa and her company would be hired for $4,000 a month. I do know that it's a little bit higher than what we were paying before, but with the amount of grants and experience that we're getting, I think it's, as you said, well worth it. We see all the grants that are going in the other communities that Lisa works for. So that's her going rate. And, you know, I think it'd be well worth it if we're bringing in, you know, the grants behind it to support it.
If I could please expound, that's what's fair and that's what's equitable for a seasoned, experienced grant writer. I will actually pursue grants at the state level, at the federal level, from private foundations, and then also with great interest, I was listening to the confirmation earlier of Mr. Palino. I would support the new mayor, the new city council, the new administration. Nothing is within my scope of services. I never say, you know, I'm only doing grant writing. I have had communities in the past who've needed assistance with CDBG, and I'm a team player, and it's my pleasure to assist in any way to leverage any and all fundings out there.
Through the chair.
Budget Analyst DeMaio.
Yeah, also, we did not have a current budget analyst for the first month. So there is some additional funding that will be in the budget. So we'll defer some of the increase.
From not filling the grant writer position for last month.
Correct.
Thank you.
Council President, if I may, I'd just like one more point of order.
Sure.
I'd also like to congratulate Ms. Andoja on being part of our up and coming governor, Dan McKee's team. She was announced as part of that transition team. So I just wanted to say that here also tonight that, you know, like I said, she's very well connected here throughout the state of Rhode Island, New England, and beyond. That's crucially important. Relationships are important in acquiring grants. As we look back in the last 3 years, and I successfully worked with our previous grant writer, and we've acquired over $400,000 over those 3 years. You know, it's great to see the work that she does through these relationships to acquire 800,000 plus in one community in a year. So I think that minimal increase will obviously make large scale returns for our city of Cranston.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Renzulli.
I want to echo what Councilmember Brady said. The return on investment is going to be incredible. And originally, I know when the grant writer position, the line item was added to our budget, I don't remember the year, maybe 2013, it was $10,000 higher than it was last year. And I know one year we ended up paying $60,000. So it changes from year to year, but I don't know that we've necessarily been getting our money's worth, and I can guarantee that we will. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion or comments before we take the roll? There being none, Ms. Andoja, if this vote goes in favor of you tonight, I just want to say that I look forward to working with you, and I'm going to certainly appreciate all your efforts across the whole city, whether it's working with the council, the administration, CDBG, all of the departments. We're certainly going to utilize you and your firm, and we look forward to bringing in a lot of grants for the city, because we definitely can use them.
Thank you,
That
Mr.
being said,
President.
whoop.
Thank
Somebody
you,
want to
Mr.
speak?
President. Thank you,
Oh.
Mr. President. If confirmed, I'll hit the ground running.
Sounds great. Thank you. Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry, but you skipped me and I'm a yes.
Sorry.
This is
Sorry,
Councilwoman Vargas.
Councilwoman Vargas.
It's okay, don't worry, we're all humans, I get it.
I told her to do that, council member.
I'm sure you did, Ed, I'm sure you did. Don't
Gotta get
put it
some
past
laughs
you.
in here and there, you know?
Get me in
Right?
trouble now.
I'm with you.
Ms. Andoja, thank you very much for attending tonight, and we look forward to working with you. And if you can send your email, or send an email, or have Madam Clerk send Ms. Andoja an email, we can get your contact info and forward it to all the council members. And we'll have
Thank
you
you.
come in. We'll invite you into a future finance committee meeting so you can discuss with all the council members our needs and our wants in our specific wards and across the city, and try to get things going on that. Councilmember Jermaine?
I want to say welcome, and that's make my heart smile. I see a woman coming in. So that's why I want to say welcome.
Welcome aboard, Ms. Andoja. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I look forward to generating revenue for the city of Cranston where we can do more and without taxpayer funds.
That's great.
That's good.
I look
Thank you
forward
very
to meeting
much.
you in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to border canvassers. I'm going to defer to Councilmember Donegan on this, the appointment of Alice Patron, minority position to expire 3/1/2021 to replace Fred Johnson's unexpired term.
Thank you, Council President. If the council, if we could, I'd like to continue this to next month.
Okay, we have a motion to continue. Under
Second.
discussion. We have a second. Under discussion. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Moving on to executive communications. Report on hiring special counsel, consultants, et cetera, pursuant to chapter 15.05. To the administration, Director Moretti, did you have an opportunity to email out this report to all the council members?
Have not. I was under advice that the legal department would. I will have to follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay, if you could follow up on that, it'd be much appreciated, and just send it out to all the council members. And I'll defer any questions on that to the next council meeting. Moving on, we have the advise and consent of Adam Aquilati as member of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire December 17th, 2023. This was continued from December, but I believe this applicant is being withdrawn. Is that correct, Director Moretti?
Correct.
Okay. Moving on, we have a request to be continued in service for 1 year, Deputy Chief Robert Ryan, Cranston Fire Department. Director Moretti.
Yes, the city requests that Deputy Chief Ryan be continued in service for 1 year, as he has met all the required medical criteria.
I'll entertain a motion to continue Deputy Chief Ryan in service for 1 year.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes. Next, we have a request to be placed on pension roll. Fire Chief Stephen A. McIntosh, Cranston Fire Department, effective January 15th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to put Chief McIntosh on the pension roll.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to briefly thank, Chief McIntosh for his many, many years here in the city of Cranston for his service. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with him on our last council term. It's his morale, his team spirit, what he did with that department, and how kind so many people speak of him is certainly a testament to his character. So I wish him well in his retirement, pending this goes well tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other questions or comments or discussion on Chief McIntosh? There being none, I'll just follow up by saying the chief will be missed. I certainly enjoyed all the years that he was the fire representative at the Safety Services and Licensing Committee when I was the chair. He was always accessible, always brought issues to the forefront, and always followed up. And I will certainly miss Chief McIntosh. I want to thank him for all his years of service to the city and wish him well in retirement. That being said, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Enjoy retirement, Chief. Well earned. Moving on to Council President Communications. I just got a couple of things to bring up. First, when I first got on the council, Council Member Santa Maria pushed through a traffic safety commission. Over the last, 4 years, we haven't filled the positions on it. And typically with spring coming is when we're going to get the most complaints on speeding and issues in the neighborhoods with traffic violations. So I would like to bring that committee back. It's already on the books. The way it works is every council member gets a nominee or an appointment for the committee. There's also a representative of the administration on it and also the police department. So if all of you would like to think about somebody you'd like to appoint to the Traffic Safety Commission, I definitely would like to try and start filling that within the next month or two. The code is in the book. It's pretty current. I think it passed in maybe 2013 or 2014. But it seemed to work good the 2 years that it was in effect, and then its membership kind of expired and never got replaced. So I'd like to try and bring that back again. The other thing I want to bring up is a question for all of you. Do you want to keep meeting at 7 or bring this back to 6:30? We had done 6:30 at the end of the last term. Per council rules, we start at 7 with the new term. But if you'd like to start bringing it bring it back to 6:30 starting next month, I'm certainly okay with that. It worked out well.
Council President, if I may,
Council Vice President.
I know that was Councilmember Vargas that had initiated that conversation in our previous term. I certainly think it was going pretty well. A lot of these discussions, I know this is an agenda and we're already at 9 o'clock tonight, obviously can get lengthy. So, I think the half an hour earlier start is good for me, but I certainly am open to listening to the rest of this body and see what works within their schedule.
How about I rephrase it? Are there any objections to going back to rolling it back to 6:30 for the next main council meeting? Councilmember Vargas?
Yes, Council President, I don't have an objection whatsoever, at least I'm not on my end. But to that point, I think that was also part of the city council rules, and I wasn't sure when the rules committee was going to actually be meeting on that, or if we actually would our vote tonight would actually reflect what would be going to the rules committee. So I'm not sure we can take that vote or not, but if not, I have no objection with 6:30.
I wasn't going to take a vote on it. Just if there is an objection, then we'll keep it at 7. I am going to call a rules committee quick. I know we have another workshop session coming up, I think February 9th. So I got to just look at the calendar and see where we can fit the rules committee in. But I'm just, in case they're not set up for the next council meeting, does anybody object going back to 6:30?
I'll defer to the rest of the council members, particularly the new council members as well, or anyone on
Councilmember
here.
Jermaine?
Yeah, so I know it's, we started come at 6, but for some parent, it's 7 is good. You have, dinner ready, 6:30 and, 5:30, 6:30, you get dinner ready. So, you have small kids. So it's convenient for me at 7 because I know everything is already perfect for the kids. So 7, I'm here and they get ready to go to bed. So I would like to keep it 7, but if they will of the majority to keep it at 6:30, so I will be, so I just mentioned that.
Thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Any other comments on this? Councilmember Rinzuli.
Councilwoman Germain's point, it might also be more convenient for public comment for people to be able to be available. We're supposed to be available for the public. So if they're all having dinner, just getting out of work, taking care of their children as they maybe have been doing all day as we're still on distance learning, that would be something I would say that we should consider as well. I can do either time. I'm just saying.
Thank you. Councilmember Vargas.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? Because I've heard from some constituency, which is why I brought it up a few months ago, that they actually thought it would be better if we did a little earlier. So that way they can do part of the public hearing at the beginning and be able to give their opinion. And then at the very same time, there's also another percentage of the population that says, I'd rather do it much later. So I don't think there's a win-win in here, one way or the other, right? And so I'll really defer to my council colleagues. I think the idea behind doing it at 6:30 was for some of the folks just to have a little bit more accessibility, particularly if it was also like in person along those lines. It's also very tight in a way. I am realizing as well that when it's at 6:30, if we do want to squeeze in a committee meeting sometimes a little bit prior to that, that's the only kind of like burden that I could see in a way, or not burden per se, but a potential time that we could go a little later into that committee meeting and then be able to go by the council. So given the fact that we're all kind of also virtually and the fact that we all have kids on ourselves, I was really trying to go based on what the constituents were asking for. But I'm really fine one way or the other, and perhaps that conversation can also take place at the rules committee.
We can certainly keep it at 7 for tonight. I just wanted to put that out there so we can think about it. Council Member Brady.
Thank you, Council President. I just did want to offer an alternative perspective. I certainly understand the concerns of two mothers here on the call tonight. So if it's the consent of the council to do 7 moving forward, then I certainly would totally okay by me. But I also did want to bring up an alternative point, as Council Member Marino had spoke on many council meetings in the past, especially on many issues that get longer into the night. It's tough having residents on at 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock at night because they kind of just get disinterested and don't want to speak. So I just want to offer that as an alternative perspective of thought while we, continue this discussion further further into the future. I think that was part of the reason too that Council Member Vargas introduced it originally last term. I certainly get your points, and I'm more than willing to do it at the time.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other question or comments on this? There being none, we'll keep it at 7 for now. I just wanted to bring that idea up and kind of get everyone's thoughts on it. We'll certainly address it at the Rules Committee meeting. If somebody wants to move it back to 6:30 or 7, we can certainly take a motion and a vote. But I can certainly do it either way for me. There's no personal preference on that. That being said, moving on to council member communications. Anybody here from the council have any communications? Council Vice President Brady.
Thank you, Council President. I will be very brief, as I know I didn't send anything into the docket. I did want to just bring up on new business for discussion. We will be discussing a small business advisory committee as we passed a resolution earlier this week with the unanimous vote with this body, and we are challenging mandates on an executive order, and we're seeing it go into more and more communities. We certainly all realize the importance of our small business community. On last term, I will give credit to, I had numerous discussions with Councilmember Donegan and Councilmember Vargas about how we can continue to create economic development and support our small business community. We had discussions on Restaurant Week and working with, the Committee of Providence and just continuing to create tourism and promote that. So I look forward to discussing that, because obviously, as we all know, small business community is getting crippled right now, and I want to do all in our power, and I know we do as a body, to continue to improve that and grow. So just wanted to briefly introduce that. That's part of new business coming in front of us next month, and I just wanted to briefly discuss it tonight.
Thank you, Council Vice President Brady. Any other questions or comments on this? And just to follow up for the new members, if you have anything that you'd like to put on the docket under council member communications, just send that into Leanne and Rose before the deadline, and I can get listed here under council member communications. Anything else?
Yes.
Council member Donegan.
Thank you. I'm not sure if we received and I know it's more difficult virtually, but the report on special hiring and council consultants. If we could just get that each month, that way we can. Are we still going to be able to ask questions about those over?
Yeah. To answer your question, yes, we did not get it this month. Director Moretti had stated that he's going to get that together for us and send it out to us. So if we have questions on it next month.
Great. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else for council member communications? All right. I will close that. We do not have any old business. Moving on to the introduction of new business. There are many items here. I'll entertain a motion to forward all of the new business listed on the docket to the proper committees.
So moved.
To the council president, if I may.
Yes.
I need to recuse myself from the forwarding of new business of the request from National Grid for pole location on Natick Avenue. So not to make this more cumbersome than it has to be, but I guess we're going to have to forward them individually then.
So you know what we can do, if it's okay with Solicitor Angel, can we vote on that one first separately and then send the rest of them?
Yes.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to send to the Public Works Committee a request for National Grid pole location on Natick Avenue to the February 11th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
So moved, and a second under discussion. There being one recusal, Councilmember Marino. Clerk, please take the roll on that item to send it to the proper committee.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to send all of the new business minus the Natick Avenue pole location that we just voted on to the proper committees.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second under discussion. There being none, Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Miscellaneous business on the clerk's desk. We have, for informational purposes only, the 2021 City Council and Committee meeting schedule. We also have the 2021 Municipal Court schedule. And we have the appointment of Richard DeCranbury for the tree warden for informational purposes. We also have the report on hiring of Council Attorney Stephen Angel. This should have the letter of engagement should have been sent to all of you. Per the code, we have to do the report on this. And also because it's a personnel matter, Attorney Angel, do you request to go into executive session if there are any questions?
No, I'll waive that right and take questions in open session.
Thank you, Attorney Angel. Are there any questions on the hiring of Council Attorney Angel?
I just want to point out for the council, if I may, that the reason for the letter of engagement is set out in paragraph 1 of the letter. The charter requires it, and the rules of professional conduct govern attorneys in the state of Rhode Island require it, as do most jurisdictions. And it should be noted also that the scope of the engagement is identical to what the charter requires for services, and that the monthly amount is what has been budgeted for.
Thank you, Attorney Angel. Any questions for Attorney Angel? All right, there being none, we'll move on to Rhode Island State Fire Marshal blasting permit, blasting location 875 Phoenix Avenue, PJ Keating. This is informational only. And the City Council's next regular monthly meeting will be held on February 22nd, 2021. Anything else from any of the members of the council? There being none, I just want to thank you all for being here tonight and us getting through our first full council meeting together. Certainly much appreciated, and I wish you all a great rest of the week and stay healthy, everyone. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Come on,
Have a great
everyone.
night.
Thank you.